Hello YouTubes, we have almost completed our styrofoam mountain. Just need to add some grass, some trees, some bushes, that kind of thing. But first we have some cleanup to do. On the last video I was painting all my rock face rocks, which I think have turned out quite nice, but I was not happy with the summit because I was using a sort of brown wash, so I've redone that. And now we have a sort of grey wash at the top with some very light dry brushing white at the very peak, just to give it a sort of icy appearance, which I think kind of works. And if you look at it from down here, we do get a sort of forced perspective of the peak being in the distance. So now we have to add grass, bushes, trees up to about this point here. There won't be any trees obviously in that point there, but we kind of have to gradually go with big trees at the front, big green fir trees or mixture of fir trees and normal trees, the ones that lose their leaves. Deciduous, I don't know what they're called. And then they'll gradually get smaller, again forcing perspective in the distance, smaller trees nearer the top and maybe some snowy trees at the base, that kind of deal. I did do the front section of the mountain recently, which turned out quite nice, but that was mostly experimental, so I'm going to transfer some of those ideas onto the high bit of the mountain. So first off, I'm going to lay down some static grass, a sort of dark layer, maybe about 2 millimeters all the way around. But I'm not moving this out again, because every time I move it, I grab one of these rocks and pull it off. So I'm going to have to put a bit of board over there and climb away up there and do it. So I'll see you when I've got all my equipment, which is there, and we're ready to start some flocking, static grassing, whatever you want to call it. Let's begin with the furthest away point. Once I get round to about there, I can reach it from the other side and I can get off this table and stop breaking my layout and my knees. Alright, let's get some glue on here. Full strength PVA glue. Take it for a little trip around the mountain. Use an old brush that you don't mind throwing out. Try not to get your glue dripping over your freshly painted rocks. It will dry clear. Unfortunately, I think the PVA, or at least the cheap Elmer's PVA, will be a bit glossy when it dries. So you don't really want glossy rocks. Maybe you do. If you want glossy rocks, then let it run. But I don't want glossy rocks. And this doesn't have to be perfectly laid either, because there's going to be at least another layer of grass on top of this layer of grass, but it's going to be more randomized. This first layer of grass is really just the sort of undergrowth layer, if you like. This is actually quite a big area. I'm worried that I'm not going to have enough static grass to do this job. Okay, let's begin with that section here because it's a funny angle for me. In any bits we miss, we can always add some clump foliage to it, which also adds to the randomness of it all. Okay, that should do that. I think I got a bit of glue in my rock there. Didn't want that, but hey, that's life. So I need my grounding pin, stick that there, try not to spark myself. Hook my grounding cable up from a static grass applicator. I've already got the grass in, so we should be good to go. Yep, that's working nice. This doesn't need to be too thick. I've still got plenty in there for now. Yep, that's working good. It's hard to tell because the glue being white makes it look really thin, but it's not. So I'm going to move on to that section, and hopefully, as I say, we'll get enough in there to do all the way around to the other side. Next up, I just want to vacuum up all the excess grass. Now normally I would put a little stocking over the end to catch it, but this is pretty much brand new. There shouldn't actually be that much debris in it. So once I get the fibres in here, I can put them back into a container. Okay, I should have vacuumed up enough there to do that bit that I missed, and this bit's a wee bit light, so I'll get that done and then we just wait for everything to dry before we do the next layer. So it's been a couple of hours and my first layer of grass has pretty much dried. There's a couple of blobs of glue there, and there's one down there that don't want to dry, but it's only, there's a skin over the top of the glue. It should be okay for the next layer. But as you can see, it's looking a bit fantasy world at the moment. So time to make it look a bit more realistic. So I'm going to use a combination of colours for the next layer. We've got this 2mm summer leaf litter, which is kind of a similar colour, a little bit lighter. And I've got this longer grass, I think this is about 4mm. And it's more of a burnt looking grass, and that'll go nearer the top. Now, the last time I did this, on the inside of the mountain, I used a mixture of PVA glue. It's around about 50-50 mix glue and water in this squishy bottle, but I don't know if it's the glue, I don't know if it's the bottle, but it doesn't like to come out in a spray. It kind of comes out in a stream, and I wouldn't say I ruined the first section that I did, but it didn't come out the way I would like it to come out. So I'm finally going to use a gift that someone sent me a while ago. Wichita, USA, I think, sent me this. Scenic cement. It's already liquidy, and it's specifically designed for this sort of thing. So I'm going to put this in a different spray bottle and see if that works. Fingers crossed, this should do the job. Hope it's worth the money that someone else spent on it. I have my new glue in its little spray bottle, and I did a little test and it does indeed spray it and not stream it, so hopefully this will be just fine. And I'm just going to start with this section here. I've got this little bit of card so I don't have to mask over every single rock that I've got. And we'll just give this whole area a bit of a, not the whole area spray, but a kind of random. I don't want this completely covering it, I want it to be kind of patchy. Oh, it's quite runny, is this glue. I hope that's random enough. Right, let's sprinkle some, try not to make holes that we can see at this point. I can always paint over the holes if I put it into the rocky bit. Right, let's try it with my summer blend, summer, autumn, whatever it was called. And it should only adhere to the sections that I've sprayed with glue, and we'll vacuum up the excess. So that doesn't appear to be standing up as I would like. So I'm going to attack that with a vacuum and hopefully that will pull it up a bit. Yep, not overly happy with that. I need to test my little sprinkle thing, make sure it is actually working before I do the rest. So I did a little test and it is definitely standing up, but I think I've got to hold this thing really close to this. Maybe the battery is on its way out. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it's not as good as I would like. Anyway, I will continue taking my time, doing the other side, make sure it's nice and close and get the rest done, and then we can do the final layer. Okay, that round went a little bit better. I do seem to need to hold the little grounding pin pretty close. It's much better up the top. If it would like to focus for me. Not too bad, still get the next layer to go, but I mean from that angle there, that looks pretty nice. I'm happy with that. Okay, I need to wait for that set of glue to dry. Set of glue? Sure. Wait for that to dry, we'll get the final, even more random layer on the top. Well, it's been about an hour and I think that glue's dry already, so pretty impressed with Woodland Scenic's Scenic Cement. Now, make sure if you use a spray bottle, when you're done, clean it out with water. Otherwise, your mechanism's going to stick together. So obviously, I'm not going to be using this for the next layer, because I do want this in small areas, so I've decanted my glue into a little dropper bottle, and this will be more like small patches, almost like bushes and weeds that will grow in very random areas. Anyway, let's go on to it. The final part of this mountain grassy bit. I've still got trees and stuff to do, but let's get this done. Now, I know I'm sounding like a bit of an advert for Woodland Scenics, but this stuff also says, right, it says dries to a clear matte finish, seals product on lay, water soluble, contains a wetting agent. Now that's actually quite important because it means it's not just going to blow up on the top. So let us try. Excuse me. Now you might think, well, why are you starting in the most visible area? Well, it's also the most accessible area. So if I mess it up, I can, easily reach it to do it again. Let's just try some random spots just to make sure the drop-in technique's going to work. Well, I quite like that actually. Yeah, right, let's try some grass. And this is the lighter stuff, albeit longer stuff. Okay, let's vacuum that up immediately. Oh, that's coming out really good. You can't see it from that angle, but again, the glue needs to dry. It looks a wee bit silly at the moment, but I'm going to continue doing random spots throughout the whole layout, and hopefully it'll look spectacular. my grass is planted. I hope when the glue dries it looks a bit darker than it does at the moment, because to be honest I kind of preferred it when it was just green, but hey, we're going for realistic. Bleh, yawn. While we're waiting for that glue to dry, how about we put down some ballast in that corner? Not pretzels, this is ballast. I made it up from 3 different colours of, it's called grain and not grain, it's called, what's it called? Hold on. It's called a jar of gravel, and it was $2.25 from Dollarama. It's really fine, it looks just like ballast. Anyway, 3 different shades of that. We've got a sort of light grey, darker grey, and a sort of browny grey. And I made up a giant batch so I could do the whole layout, but we're just doing this corner for now. The only problem I have is this pesky set of points, which I don't want to mess up, and I haven't done ballast over a set of points yet. So I think for now, I am just going to put a bit of tape over the moving section so that I don't fill anything up with glue. I can always come back to that bit later and fill it in. I want to do it from pretty much this section here all the way around to the bits I can't reach from or without climbing on top of the layout, because I want this bit all done, get the other half of the mountain in, and then we just don't have to touch this bit again. At least that's the plan. Okay, ballast, I'm going to start at the far corner, way up there. Now, for some reason, a lot of people don't like ballasting. I actually quite enjoy it, apart from having to stand on my layout. When it's in easy to reach places, I quite enjoy it. So I'm going to use this. I 3D printed this little ballast spreader. I'll fill that up, run it around the track, both sides. I'm basically ballasting all the way from the rock all the way over to here. I'm not bothering with like this gap in the middle, so it can fill that gap. Maybe a bit of a waste of ballast, but I've got plenty. Right, let's go for it. So I'm going to put my little ballast spreader on the track because I don't have a little cover to stop it peeing out. Fill this up. Take it for a wee drive around the track. Oh, I've got a wee high spot over there. Yeah. Oh, here's the tricky bit. How am I going to get from there over to there? I'll make a mess. Ready? Go! Need to fill up. Another wee drive. I'm also cleaning my track by grinding stones across it. Obviously I'm going to have to fill in the gap manually. That takes care of the hard stuff. So I will just fill in this gap, put a wee bit along the edge, brush along the middle. I don't need to film all of that, I'm sure you've seen ballast before, but basically I'm just going to brush, make sure I don't have any stones at the edges of the inside of the rails, because that causes derailments. Do the same in that one. And then the old trick of tapping a spoon on the back. I prefer to use a 17mm ring spanner because that's what I had lying about. Do that all along your track, and that will vibrate the stones to lock together like they do in real life. So let me take care of all of that and I'll see you at the other side when we're almost done. So that's my ballast down. Before we glue it, however, we need to do the crunch test. And for this crunch test, I will be using an Athearn 6-axle PA1. They are quite low at the front and have quite a hangover, an overhang. And obviously we've got lots of rail cars. So far, I think it has passed the crunch test, at least on the outside line. I need to remove that tape and go around the inside. So round 2, let's get across the crossover points. Listen carefully. Wow, I can't believe I got that right first time. Just make sure the auto racks are okay. Perfect. Good stuff. So, I suppose I better glue it in place before it changes its mind. Now, I'm pretty sure this would be perfect for it, but I do feel that's a waste when I know that diluted PVA would do the trick just fine. The only downside with that is I'm going to have to soak the ballast with IPA, isopropyl alcohol, just to make sure that this sinks in through all the rocks. So a wee bit time consuming, but this costs virtually nothing. This doesn't. So I'll do a little section just to show you how I'm doing it, and then I'm not going to bore you with watching all of that getting glued down, but it has to get done right now. So we'll just do this section here. You don't want to spray it too close to the ballast or you will just disrupt all your lovely work. And I know this looks like a lot, but it evaporates really quickly, so don't be tempted to do a whole section at once. Okay, and that is purely so that this glue doesn't just sit on top. So I'm going to run up the inside of the rails and it will soak all the way through. Locking your lovely ballast in place. And remember, this does dry clear and usually quite matte, which is nice. Oh, that's a lot. You can always soak up a bit with kitchen towel if you think it's too much. And we'll go around the outside. See that bit there? Oh, you didn't see that, but I didn't spray enough on the outside edge and the glue just ran right down over it. I can hear it bubbling and seeping into all its little gaps, which is perfect. And that is how I do it. But I'm going to soak up this bit here because that's too much there and there and then there. But again, you want to be careful. You don't want to disrupt your ballast. And it will dry clear, but you don't want it sitting on top. Nobody wants that. Soak up this bit. And the centre of that rail over there is a bit full of glue. See, I disrupted my lovely ballast there. I'm going to have to individually place some stones now. Yeah, don't get carried away. The glue will take a while to seep all the way in. And it's easy enough to clean the top of the rails off once you're done. So don't worry about getting glue on top of the rails either. It's just PVA, it comes off really easily. Excellent. So I'll get all my ballast glued down. By the time that's down, it should be time to plant some trees. So my grass glue is dry mostly. Certainly dry enough to get on with the tree planting. So let's see what selection of trees I have and what I'm going to use. Now, I do have a decent selection of trees, but what with this being a Canadian mountain, I want to stick to mostly fir trees. So I've got quite a lot of these. I've got another box of these, but only the big ones, and I would really need smaller ones about that size. Might use these, they're a wee bit bright and unnatural. I really like this, but it's really too vivid as well. And we've got the snowy trees as well. I bought a bag of, well actually 4 bags of these because they look nice on AliExpress, but I don't know if I actually like them. They might do it a pinch for nearer the base. Don't know what the pink stuff is. Maybe they're supposed to be cherry blossom. So yeah, they're not bad because they're quite random. They're not quite as plasticky looking as those ones in there, which are a wee bit fake looking. So I'll use these ones sparingly, mostly them, and we'll see what these ones look at the top. But I think the big ones are just like this one here, for example, is way too big. It's going to make the mountain look small. I mean, obviously this is close and that's far away. But the smaller ones, I think, nearer the base of the summit might be okay. Let's give it a go, see what looks good. Now, because we're going into plaster cloth, I've got a little podger, little Phillips screwdriver, just to punch a wee hole for these to pop in. Wherever we feel would look best. Right, I'm going to start in this corner, working my way around to there, and then that'll be me finished kneeling on top of the layout, hopefully. Now, I do want to be as random as possible, but I also want it to make sense. So what I was saying earlier about putting a big tree up here, it would just diminish the size and immense presence of the mountain. Whereas if you put a little one there, and gradually work down the way to bigger trees, the further down the slope, the higher the trees. I know that seems weird, but I think that will work better. And I've got a medium-sized one here, so let's just go for it, shall we? So I'm going to start with the smaller snowy trees. And if we hate them, we can always change our mind. Right, let's go for a little one there. Punch a wee hole, stick in a tree. Okay, I don't hate it. Let's go for another one over here. Okay, we'll try a slightly bigger one just beside that one over here. So it's a wee bit further away from the summit base, so it shouldn't look too ridiculous. And we'll put another small one over here. And I'm trying not to overthink the placement. I don't know why these ones have gone banana shaped. That's a bit annoying. Don't know if they're going to spring straight or not. We'll put this one maybe down. Yeah, let's go for it there, so it's on the side. Maybe not. Yeah, right there. Might have to trim this one because it's forcing it out because it's on a slope. Do a wee bendy thing. And it sort of works. I've got one more small tree. Let's see where we'll put that. Put it there. I'm going to have to trim this one, it's bugging me. Let's just trim some branches off. Oh, I just nipped my finger. Don't do that. Just take your time, be careful. Talk to myself, obviously. It's a shame I don't listen to my own advice. Oh, I didn't cut the skin, good. Okay, that's working for me. Let's see if we can get another snowy tree. Oh, I don't want to hide anything either. Let's go there. Yes, okay, I'm liking this. But I don't think I'm going to get away with using the big ones. Nah, they're way too big. Okay, let me continue, and I'll see you when we're all planted. Well, I ran out of little fir trees, so that'll have to do for now until I get more fir trees in. Oh, I didn't think I was, you know what? Thinking like a Scotsman, value for money, I thought, get the big trees because they cost the same as the little trees. No, I need the little trees. Right, I need to tidy up, get the other half of the mountain in place, and then I'll give you a bit of a tour. Welcome to Mount Styro, part of Scottyville National Park. I'm working in those names. So there's the section of wildlife already. There's the section I made off camera. My ballast is still drying, and I did put some ballast in the little turnout. Still a bit worried about that. So here's the new section in all its glory. Glue's still got a wee bit of time to dry, but oh, they've set up camp already. That'll be Michael and Roseanne, no doubt. But as you can see, I have got a ton of trees on there and they just get swallowed up by this whole area. So I need more little trees of that size there, because those ones are just a wee bit too big. Overall, I quite like it. How does the cut look? Very cut-like, I think. I'm pretty happy with that for my first mountain. Mostly made out of styrofoam, some plaster of Paris. Most expensive part is the trees, to be honest. Oh, and tinfoil to make my rocks. I'm happy. So what's next on the layout? Well, this isn't really finished yet. I still need to print off some animals. We need grizzly bears, more wildlife, wolves, deer, and of course a Bigfoot. And then I've decided I'm going to finish this whole corner here. So I'll be working in the national park, which means a lake, which means pouring epoxy for the first time in my life. See how that turns out. And there's going to be campsites and maybe a nudist colony. I don't know, I just made that up. And that section will be done. And then once we've done that section, I want to get on with the big station platform at the back with all the fast food and bus station and all that kind of stuff, and maybe even my moving car system finally that I've been teasing you with for months. Anyway, happy with that. I'll leave you with some cinematic shots of my work. Hope that helped in some small way to getting your buttocks off your chairs and getting working on your scenery. I enjoyed it. I think it looks good. See you soon.